Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Backup Stories, this time with fixed audio. My name is Justin Townsend. As always, I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Rob Newmeyer.
How's it going?
Before, Rob, we get into the tons of books that we're going to talk about this week, there's been some news. Some big comic book news came out this week, and you and I were all over it. They announced a new Avengers team, and as Marvel is wanted to do, they make a big deal about it. And so they released an image with blacked out characters, and Rob and I were taking guesses at who was going to be on the team. And we actually did pretty good.
I think we brought up every single name that was there.
It wasn't much of a mystery.
No,
I think the character they got out right at that might have been a little bit difficult was a Miss Marvel.
Well,
Her silhouette would have been a little bit more difficult to figure out.
Yeah, but that was the first image that they showed anyway.
So, what do you think of the team?
I'm happy.
Well, let's quickly go through the rundown of who's on this team.
Okay.
So the first two images they showed were Thor, the female version, since we don't know what her name is yet, and Miss Marvel. After that, they showed, who was it? They showed Nova and the Vision. Yes, I think it was the Vision.
Was it both on that side? It was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they showed Sam Wilson's Captain America.
Well, no, then the whole thing just got leaked.
Yeah, then the whole thing unfortunately got leaked, and it was Sam Wilson's Captain America, Miles Morales as Spider-Man, and there is an Iron Man in this team. The real question is, do you think that's really Iron Man?
I don't think it's Tony. No? I think it's Pepper.
What makes you think that?
It just makes sense for the makeup of that team. I think the Vision's going to be the only like old school-ish Avenger there. Everyone else is, a legacy character or someone new.
When did Sam join the Avengers? Sam was on the Avengers.
At
some point.
He was asked to join like early on.
So he's still like a pretty old character then, even though hasn't been an Avenger in like, let's say, the previous 10 years. But
correct.
He was one way back when. When do you think he joined? Was it like the 70s?
See, I would have looked it up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure
the
exact date. It's definitely early on.
Okay,
now.
so then okay, so he's definitely an early member of the team. Is there anybody on the team that you wish wasn't, or do you wish you could add a member to the team?
No. Well, first off, I don't think this is the only Avengers team. There's going to be another Avengers book. I don't think that this is it.
All right, well, let's just jump into it's Mark Waid writing the book. And so you think that he's going to have 2 Avengers books out?
Sure. Yeah. I think they're going to stick with the formula like Hickman had, where it's, an Avengers and New Avengers, but now it'll be this Avengers book and, another Avengers book. I have a feeling, I just think that they have to, not even have to, I just think there'll be another more traditional Avengers type book.
My only issue with that is who is going to fill out that roster.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what the state of anything is going to be at that point. But I don't see there being no Captain America, no, Iron Man.
But they've done stuff. I mean, in the New Avengers run, Captain America was there for a while, and then it was Bucky holding the shield. Thor wasn't on that team. Iron Man, well, at that point, they split into Avengers and New Avengers, and Iron Man wasn't, or it was actually Mighty Avengers and New Avengers back then. Iron Man wasn't on the team. I mean, they've done it before.
But you got to figure, so at the start of Hickman's run, the Avengers run, you kind of had everyone there. They wanted to grow. They wanted to
branch out.
Correct. Because they wanted to face bigger threats to be prepared. Then when that all fell apart, there has been no traditional Avengers team for now, 2 years? Maybe?
Yeah, that's true.
So
right now there's 3 Avengers teams running around.
Yeah. So I think now will be kind of the coming together of the original Avengers again. I don't know. I just have a feeling that
Secret Wars is such a thing, though, that we have no idea what's going to happen when the dust settles. Like, it's such a big spanning thing. Like, the company's never done anything quite like this before. I mean, putting dozens of books on hiatus while creating all the Battle World stuff. So we really don't know. The only thing that we're sure of now is that, as rumors foretold for pretty much forever, Miles is joining the 616, which is amazing.
I'm very happy.
Okay, so if Miles is joining the 616, and it pretty much proves that he is, who's writing that book? Is Bendis still writing that book? See,
I don't know.
I thought that you would have wanted Wade to write that book.
I definitely would have wanted Wade to write that book, but I'm happy with him writing Miles, period. So that's fine. I don't think Bendis will be writing it. I think he'll step away from Miles.
Man, all right. So if Wade can't write him, who would you like to see take a crack at Miles?
It's hard to say. I mean, will there even be like a single Miles book? Will there just be like a Spider-Man team book? Will there be?
I can't picture them taking Miles and bringing him to the 616 and making him a character that's only in a team up book. I think I think he has to have his own book.
Okay.
He's such an important character that they're actually importing him from another universe. You figure he's going to have his own book. If Howard the Duck has his own book, Miles kind of has to.
But then it also throws into what are they going to do with Peter? That all falls into play.
I mean, they have a whole tree of Spider books right now. Spider-Woman, amazing. Silk,
Gwen.
Well, Gwen's is not in the 616, but I mean she's part of that tree as well.
Yeah, but what if this is combining everything? What are they going to do with Gwen?
So then Gwen's coming over?
I don't know, but
we don't. The thing is, we're going to have to see, because Gwen's book, Spider-Gwen, is not part of either the Ultimate Universe or the 616, and we know that at the end or right at the cusp of Secret Wars, all the other universes are destroyed. So I don't know if Gwen's thing is just its own separate entity out there that they're doing, because what would be the point of giving her her own book and then canceling out her universe is what makes her so interesting. Like, I like Daredevil as a bad guy. Like, I like their versions of characters. I want to see more of that and not just import her over.
It's a universe that's out there. She knows of Peter. She knows of Spider-Ham.
Yep.
She was involved in the whole Spider-Verse thing. So if this is getting rid of all these other universes, then
that would be something. That would be really something if they introduced it and then got rid of it that quickly. I don't know if
they're not going to get rid of it.
No,
how are they
going
to fold it in?
How are they going to fold it in? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. For me, if I had to pick a writer to tackle Miles, who would it be? My first name that comes to mind, I don't know why, is just Charles Soule. Like, I think he'd be an interesting guy to tackle it. I'm not sure if he's the right guy.
No, I don't think they would use him for something like that. I think he's like more of the bigger team projects at the moment.
What about Tom Taylor?
Oh, I would do. Yeah, definitely.
Tom Taylor could work.
I think it would be perfect.
Rob's a big fan of Tom Taylor. His Injustice stuff was fantastic, and he's doing really good stuff with Superior Iron Man.
The Earth 2 DC book was
true.
Absolutely amazing.
So you think that Wade is going to be doing 2 Avengers books whenever Secret Wars ends? That's interesting. I mean, I'm fine with Wade writing. I love his Daredevil run. Which segue, let's talk about Daredevil.
Hey,
number 14. This book has had a lot of relaunches as well. What'd you think of this book?
New characters. I don't know. I thought it was great. I love Matt's cockiness.
Like when you and me were texting back and forth, the word that I used was like, this book is delightful. Like, there is a brand new Matt Murdock in here. We're going to jump into a little bit of spoilers. Even still, spoiling the book, isn't going to stop the enjoyment of it. So Matt's apparently abandoned the costume, and he's running around in a red and black suit, which has a belt buckle with Daredevil on it. And he's fully just taken and run with this idea of, I don't need the Daredevil costume anymore. Everyone knows who I am, and I'm just Matt Murdock and Daredevil at the same time. And I found that to be really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, to see him like fully running around fighting crime with no mask on, it's cool. And
that
signing
smirk,
autographs.
Yes, signing autographs and that smirk and smile. He keeps the cane because he likes it as a weapon.
Yeah. And he just feels like there's a whole bunch of like pressure lifted off of his, shoulders.
I mean, longtime fans of Daredevil knows, like, he came from just the bottom. I mean, starting with the Bendis run, then going through Brewbreaker all the way up. And I mean, when Wade took over the book, it was like a breath of fresh air. And this feels like not like a breath of fresh air. This feels like hanging your head out of the car window in the mountains somewhere. Like that's how fresh this feels. It's exciting. The only thing that makes me nervous is it's not going to last. Something bad's got to happen. We already know Wade's leaving the book. So we got to figure where is he going to leave this character. And he's got, I'm going to say, less than 6 or 7 issues left.
What can he do to make it horrific? Like, I don't see him killing off.
It's Daredevil. That's what happens. Women, bad stuff happens to the women in his life.
Okay, she is too good of a character.
I really liked his previous wife. I can't remember her name right now. But
something with an M, the blind one, right?
Yes, yeah. Her name is slipping my head. But like, I was like, oh, that was like a really good character, and then like bad stuff happens. Granted, that wasn't Wade, and with Wade, we really haven't seen any of that darkness. Like it's been hinted at, his depression has come up, but they've tackled it in different ways where he didn't succumb to it. So, it's going to be really interesting. But I mean, man, this book is so good.
Yeah, if you haven't been reading it, definitely jump on.
Yeah, you have
or
to
pick it up from the beginning of this run.
Yeah, the thing about Daredevil is that it's week in and week out so good that it's kind of easy to take it for granted. I've mentioned that to everybody who I've talked to about this book. Like, you kind of forget that it's so good all the time. You're like, oh yeah, Daredevil, yeah. But when you sit back and you read an issue like this, you're like, Jesus Christ, like this book is really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, this issue was excellent, and it's nowhere near the best of either of the two series that Wade has
it just feels different, and that's something pretty cool.
Yes.
Now, before we started tonight, you came over and you showed me a book that I had never seen before, and you had told me to read it. I read it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
What is it?
We Cannot Go Home.
We Cannot Go Home.
Black Hood, right?
Black Mask.
Black Mask. God.
I had never heard of this company before.
It's a new publisher. They've been around for about a year at this point, I think. Very, very overlooked. But I read this book last night, and I just thought it was absolutely amazing. Just the way that all of the characters talk to each other. It has some of the best like back and forth dialogue that made me laugh, and it's like real world talk. It's not like, hey, comic booky type talk, I guess you could say.
Oh no, absolutely. That's what you told me when you handed it to me. It's like they talk like real people. And I'm looking for the line right now. Why don't you give a quick synopsis of what's going on in the book while I look for this line?
Sure. It's set in 1989, small town. You have your, main male and female teenage characters. And this one, I don't want to spoil it because I absolutely want people to go out and read this book.
You know what? If we're not going to spoil it, then we'll just say, it's teenagers in the late 80s dealing with high school problems with a twist. And that's pretty much all we'll say, because you're right. This book was so fantastic. I mean, you were sitting here watching me read it, and I was just like, wow. Yeah. Like, here's just like a brief thing. And you said you had actually written this part down here that you thought it was so good.
Yep.
So you have 2 characters walking here, boy and girl. And he says to her, "You look cold. Take my sweatshirt. I don't need any grand romantic gestures. Jesus Christ, you're cold. I have a sweatshirt. It's not so hard." Like, just good. Like, just a very small example of like how to do character interaction that feels natural. Like, that is something I could picture any teenage boy saying. Like, it doesn't have to be a thing. There's more of that in here, but like, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, the whole book is full of back and forths like that. And like Justin said, big twists, crazy ending, and like, I want number 2 right now.
Oh, after I read it, I said like, I want this on my pull immediately.
Now I have a feeling the first issue is going to be pretty hard to find, which is unfortunate. I think the print run was not that big for it. So either check out your shop like right away to make sure that like all of the speculators haven't picked it up, because the book is going, like, I checked online and it's selling for like $10-15 for for just the first issue. It should be $3.99 at your comic store.
Would that be something that you ever recommend? Like, if a book is so good, would you pay $15 for it?
I don't know.
Say people can't find this. They go to the store they don't do a reissue, and it's like we're already captivated by the story. Would you recommend it enough that people be like, just go on eBay and grab the first issue? It was that good.
It's rough because I don't like it when that happens, when a book comes out that week. Like it happened with another book with Darth Vader #3. That book's selling for $20 right now.
Really?
Yeah, and it's sold out absolutely everywhere.
Wow.
So it depends. I have a feeling like if you could wait for the trade, and that'll be fine. But if you are a single issue person and you need to have these books, then I think it's worth $10 at least.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Like for a book, it's a wonderful feeling when Rob hands you a book and he's like, I think you need to read this. And it's something that you've never heard of before, didn't have any advanced solicits, and you sit there, you read it, and you were like, wow, this was something special. Like just the writing alone makes it worth it. And I cannot wait to see what happens with these characters, where they go. It's really interesting. We don't want to spoil anything, so I think we'll leave it there.
Okay.
You mentioned Darth Vader #3.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Okie dokie.
I don't like.
Go ahead. You start.
I don't like Star Wars. I don't like Star Wars at all. And I like this book so much.
I like it. Well, I'm in the same boat. Like I'm very casual Star Wars fan. The original movies, obviously. The animated stuff I absolutely love. Clone Wars and Rebels. I'm really, really into. But I don't know a lot of like all the backstory stuff, the extended universe stuff. So this to me is like, even though a lot of these characters are already established, it's like me finding out stuff for the first time.
I've never actually seen the first 3 movies all the way through.
Okay.
And I like sci-fi. It's just I've never, and I've talked with Bobby Shortle about this, like I have a problem going backwards and watching stuff that was made in the past. I'm like, that looks fake. Like that looks like a vacuum hose. Like I always, and Star Wars actually, I have to be fair, is very good about that stuff. It's like a personal thing with me. I've never been able to like go back and watch old stuff. But I've seen like 99.9% of all the movies, just never in the right order. We never, like my family wasn't big into it. So I didn't have it as a kid. And then once I became an adult, like I saw the prequel films and I was like, oh, that was all right. Like, I'd never rewatched them or anything like that. So like to say I'm like the most casual of casual Star Wars fans would be an accurate description. I'm excited for the movies that are coming out. I'm excited to see what happens with that stuff. But as far as like the rest of the history of the universes, never read any of the books, never watched any of the TV shows, never really been involved in any of it. I've always been like curious of like, all right, well, what happens after Return of the Jedi, but never knew where to jump on. Even when the Marvel got the license and announced they were going to be making these books, I was like, I'm not gonna read them. But I figured, why not? I'll give them a shot. And I liked Star Wars, but then I read Vader, and I'm not like a villain book type of guy.
Oh, I am.
I haven't read the Magneto series or the Loki series. I've read a little bit of Sinestro.
Well, the old Thunderbolt stuff is great.
I have to actually go back and read that because I like the Thunderbolts. But I read the first issue of Darth Vader, and I thought it was like intriguing. I liked the way that he was written. It was easy for me to see him not as a concept, like not as, oh, there's Darth Vader. Like I was seeing him as Anakin Skywalker. Like, oh, I watched those prequel movies. I see where he came from and what he became, and so that's how I'm viewing him. And this is going in places I didn't expect it to go. I thought it was all going to be, stuff with the Emperor, and it's not.
Yeah, you almost feel like bad for Darth Vader, and especially in this issue, because you see how much he's actually lost, and he's like struggling to try and get it all back, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And especially in this, again, light spoilers, but it's right on the cover. He's trying to remake his own kind of C-3PO and R2-D2.
And he does to great effect.
Oh,
and they're
hilarious.
Murderous.
Yep. You have assassination droids, and it's funny. So basically, he goes to find a certain someone who built these characters, who knows like who knows how to fix the droids, I guess you could say, and asks her to help him out. And from there, they know where they're going next, I guess you could say. Like I said, I don't want to heavy spoil it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the concept of the book is intriguing. Vader picks up after Star Wars #1, and in Star Wars #1 for Marvel, they show Luke and Darth Vader. Vader, they engage, and Vader knows he's the one that blew up the Death Star, but it doesn't know that it's his son yet. And so this is like the book Darth Vader is kind of his way of continuing and finding out more about Luke. He has the lightsaber, so it's like he's trying to investigate more into who Luke is. And he also is dealing with, political things in the Empire. He's being watched. Like you do feel bad for him in a way. And so this is him building up his own forces and also going to find out who Luke Skywalker is. And it's fun. Like the interaction between this girl and Vader, it's like not what you're thinking. It's kind of like that stoic bad guy who's sitting there and not saying anything. And then he has this other person with them who just never shuts up. And that's like an interesting interplay there between those two type of characters.
Yeah, like all of his answers are 1 or 2 words.
I have nothing to say about this. It's like, how about we go here? He's like, I have no thoughts about there.
And she's like a wall of text. So
it's a lot of fun. And like, if you're not into Star Wars and you've at least seen the movies and have some concept of who these characters are, I mean, Darth Vader's only at issue 3, but you're saying that it's selling out now.
3 you can find.
Well, you can find it digitally. That's a good thing, at least. I recommend going back and picking up the Darth Vader series. It's at issue 3. You can read it standalone. It's not. I mean, they show Luke and Vader meeting in Star Wars #1, but I'm not even reading Star Wars anymore. I've only been reading Darth Vader, and I think that if I can do it, anybody could do it.
Yeah, I definitely think this is the one out of the Princess Leia, Star Wars, and Darth Vader. I would choose Darth Vader. And there's another miniseries about to start too.
What's that miniseries?
Oh,
does it have something to do with the cartoon?
No. But the name is skipping my mind.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it whenever it comes out.
I just know because I ordered it. So.
There you go.
Yeah, but there's a 4th one starting. So,
what do we got right here?
Invincible, number 118. Focus. There we go. We're bringing this up because we love Invincible, #1, and #2. This is probably the best jumping on point. Like if you're not going to go back and read everything, this is where to start. It's only 25 cents.
25 cents.
Yep. I'm sure you have that laying like under your car mat or in your couch.
And they said, we really want you to try this comic. That's why it's only 25 cents.
The first 2 or 3 pages.
No, it's more than that, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 6 pages of 117 issues crammed into 6 pages. And I mean, they do a good job with catching you up.
Yeah, they recap all the big important things that happened in the series. But this immediately starts off, and it's hilarious. Again, I just want you to go pick this book up.
Yeah, we're not going to... There's a couple of books this week that we feel like we just want to tell you, like, hey, we like this, go read it. And we're not going to jump into heavy spoilers or anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, Invincible's 118 issues in. And if you pick up this book and, read, you'll get caught up on it. But we definitely want people to read Invincible because, like we mentioned in episode 0, we think it's one of the best comics on the stand, if not superhero comics on the stand. Mm-hmm. And we really like it. So definitely check out Invincible 118.
And that is one of the 2 books we'll be talking about this week with a big toilet scene.
Oh, yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
Big toilet scenes. Fun.
And what do you got here?
Oh, God. Let's talk about Hickman, all right? Let's talk about New Avengers. What is this? Number 32. Rob, what's going on? I don't understand what's happening.
Okay, so everything's coming to a clash, I would guess you would say. They know who the big bads are,
which we didn't even get into a couple of weeks ago when we started this. So there's 2 teams causing the excursions. One are the Beyonders, and the other is Doctor Doom, which we find out in the last issue of Avengers proper. So none of that, the Doctor Doom stuff's not referenced in here at all. About 4 or 5 issues ago, I'd say, we saw Hyperion, Thor, and some of the other castmates or team members go through this portal that AIM created to go meet whatever's causing the incursions head on. And that's what happens in this book. I mean, 4 or 5 issues have passed since then, and now we're seeing what happened. And yeah, it was something.
Yep. You just find out that the Beyonders are no one to F with, because I mean, to even take down one is insane.
Yeah, like, see, that was a thing that kind of surprised me. So we have this group going to meet these 2 Beyonders. I mean, the writing in Hickman books are just so superb. I'm getting to the page here. So basically, they go to this dimension or universe. Everything is black except for this one white fissure, and it says in what would you say that font is?
It's kind of like old times,
like old English, like almost like an old English font.
Yep.
It says, "We are beyond, dreamers, destroyers, all of reality, our whim. Who dare stand before us?" And then we have Thor holding up the hammer of Thor.
Extra R.
Extra R. See, this is where Hickman really gets into like some deep stuff. So for those trying to keep track at home, 20 issues ago, an alternate group of Avengers came. They were evil, and the Avengers defeated them. But that Thor had an extra R in his name, and he left his hammer here on this earth. Since this hammer, since he was a bad guy, you have to be unworthy. So wouldn't you know it, our Thor, 616 Thor, is able to pick up this hammer because he's unworthy to hold his. He can hold up this other one and still cause some serious damage with it. So he decides that he's going to go into this portal and meet these Beyonders. And it was very heroic. It was good to see. A lot of the what I had mentioned to Rob was a lot of, ever since Thor lost his hammer, he's been very mopey.
Yeah.
Mopey and downtrodden and upset, and he reverses all that in like a very, very meaningful way. And it was nice to see him stand up and use the term Avengers again.
Yeah, and to see him laugh.
Yeah.
Even like, I want a Hyperion Thor team up book, because they are like brother in arms. I want them to span universes and, you know, just F around and beat the crap out of people, because I think it would be perfect.
I want a buddy cop book with them in the worst way. I've been telling that to everybody who I've been talking to about this book, is like, they are so good together. Their conversations have been like short. Like, before they went into this portal, there was a conversation between the two of them, and I was like, oh, that's really good. And then here, I mean, in this book, they go on. So basically, they have to tackle these two Beyonders, and you know, we're gonna get a little spoilers on this one. So if you're looking to stay spoiler free, I would tune out for like the next 2 or 3 minutes. But they meet the Beyonders. It doesn't go well. They manage to take out 2 of them. The entire team does, but at the end, the team is wiped except for Thor and Hyperion. Thor is now missing his metal arm. And there's this really, really interesting scene where the fissure opens more, and now there's just hundreds of these things coming out. And you see the 2 of them looking. They just look, and then Hyperion goes, "We're going to die here today." And Thor says, "I," and then ... And it's just like a very powerful thing that you have these 2 heavyweights that have always been able to tackle anything, and they're like, we're gonna die here today. And then they you know, Thor goes into let it be on our terms, you know, and Hyperion asks, "Will you wait for me at the gates of Valhalla?"
Yeah, he said, "I'll race you there."
And he says, "No, I'm gonna race you there," because he's Thor. And the best part of this whole issue is what, Rob?
I mean, because now he's standing up to all this, and he's come to acceptance with his death. He becomes worthy again, and now he can't carry the hammer of extra R Thor,
who, you know, you have to be unworthy. So he goes to pick up this hammer. He's reaching, he can't pull it up, and they make sure that you can see it says the word unworthy, and he just like reaches back and laughs.
Yep, that was hilarious.
And the book ends with them taking on this horde. We don't know what happens. I don't think they're dead.
No, because there's another big flash at the end, I'm sure. some kind of teleport or whatever. But
still, it doesn't take away from the moment.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So, I mean, if you've been following Hickman's run, we're getting close to the end, and it's really exciting, and everything's coming together, and I'm confused as anything. So as we go through this, you're gonna see my confusion just grow, and Rob will be here to save the day.
Speak of your next book, sir.
Let's talk about the Valiant.
Mm-hmm.
This is number 4 of 4. It's a miniseries. On episode 0, we talked about my love of the Valiant universe and how much I'm enjoying their books. And so the Valiant, I actually got to, back in Comic-Con, in New York City Comic-Con in October, I had the pleasure of interviewing Warren Simons, who is the editor-in-chief of Valiant Comics, and I was terrified and nervous, but I got to ask him about the what they called Valiant Next. And the Valiant was their lead book. They had brought in Jeff Lemire, who was going to be working with Matt Kint on like a couple of new stories. And the Valiant was what they described as their way of trying to bring new readers in. They're about 35 issues in with most of their books. Their main books, which are like Archer and Armstrong, Exo-Man of War, Harbinger. And they've been adding in some new books, Quantum and Woody. There was like a Bloodshot series that really didn't get off the ground. And I mean, they've been doing well. Not as well as I would have hoped, judging from what Rob tells me, since you have the sales numbers every week. They're trying, and the Valiant is like their big push.
Yeah, I mean, they went out and got Kint and Lemire to sit there and be like, look, reshape our universe. Let us know what we should do.
And how do you think that they did? How do you think that this will play out for them? I'm not going to spoil this.
I mean, judging from what I'm seeing at store levels, I think it's doing well.
Good.
People are sticking with the Valiant, and I mean, Ninjak went to second print,
which Ninjak was really good.
Divinity, excellent.
Divinian's been doing really well as well. And
Time Walker. Yeah, so I think that people are really seeing that this is just a well structured universe that it's easy now. It's easy to jump into. You could just pick up the Valiant and just pick out what characters you like from there and follow them. You don't need to know every single little thing.
Yeah. So the premise of the Valiant is there is what and on this Earth there are geomancers, which are kind of like the best way to describe it as kind of like they're one with the planet. And there's a geomancer every generation, I'm going to say. And there is the Eternal Warrior, who is sent to protect them, and then there is the Eternal enemy who is sent to destroy them. And every time a geomancer is killed, mankind plunges into like a dark age. And so far, the tally has been really, really stacked in the Eternal enemy's favor. He's killed all of the geomancers. Eternal Warrior hasn't been able to protect one. But now he feels like it's different because he has the Valiant universe there to help him take this enemy down. So it's a 4-issue miniseries. It wraps up here. I'm going to say it wraps up in a very unexpected way. Kind of didn't expect them to do what they're going to do. But I thought that it ended in an unexpected yet intriguing way. And I do think it is a really good gateway into this universe. Like I agree with Rob. You could pick this up. You don't have to read anything before. And the characters here, they introduce the Eternal Warrior, which you can find in a lot of books. He has a couple of his own miniseries going. And you could, like Rob said, just see which characters you like and take it from there. But Valiant is good stuff, and they're really, really starting to run on all cylinders. I like, trying to get Bobby Shortle to read Valiant was a chore, to say the least. And
he couldn't stop once he started.
Yeah, once he started, you can't stop. That's what's great about it, is that it's like a really well made and well thought out universe with some of the most intriguing characters I've ever read.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm happy for Valiant. The whole 90s thing that happened with a lot of companies, obviously.
Yeah.
But they had some very enthusiastic people that bought up the company and wanted to make it a thing again. and I think they're doing really good things.
So definitely check them out. If you're going to listen to me about anything, I would say Invincible and Valiant. That's what I'm going to be hammering home a lot. So hopefully somebody listens to this and goes out and tries it. I would definitely recommend it.
Batman and Robin, number 40, the last
end.
one of the book.
Damn, this book was so good.
I know. I wish Tomasi just could write this forever.
I mean, I think Batman and Robin is probably one of the more underrated books for DC in the last couple of years. Like, Batman gets all the attention. Batman Eternal, the weekly book, gets a ton of attention just for, its continued quality. But like sitting there humming along for the last couple of years, I mean, further than that, back when Damian Dick was still Batman, this is like great book. It's just like a great, we mentioned the term before, but like a buddy cop book, and it comes to its conclusion here in a very satisfying, heartfelt way.
Yeah. I mean, the father and son aspect between those two characters is great to see Bruce actually like deeply care for someone and show it. I think it's a cool little thing that he does.
I always liked this book, and then I became a father. And when Damian died, there was an issue where Damian was like, Bruce is in the Batcave. I think it was a mostly silent issue. I think it was a silent issue, except for Bruce finds a letter from his son, Damian, that he had written him before he had passed. And it was extremely emotional. And like the book grabbed me in like a different way then. And then Bruce's, it was Batman and Two-Face, or Batman and Frankenstein, and Batman and Catwoman, and Batman and Batgirl, all about trying to get Damian back. And Damian's back now. Spoilers. You could tell that from the cover. He's flying. This issue deals with the power set problem that they've been dealing with. Damian's having Superman-type powers. And it ends in just like the best possible way this particular book could have ended. Like this particular concept doesn't work in Scott Snyder's Batman book.
No, and even Scott Snyder himself, you've said what he's like mentioned about Damian before.
Scott Snyder, I thought, said one of the coolest things I've ever seen a writer say. A fan asked him like, "Hey, are you going to be tackling Damian's powers at all?" And Scott said, no, you're not going to see Damian in my book. Like, I have a really hard time writing that character. Like he was difficult to grasp for Scott Snyder. And I thought that was extremely honest and forthright. Like, hey, I have no idea how to write this character. It's like a weird thing, especially when you consider like that Batman book. Like, where does Damian fit in there? He really, really doesn't. And that's why this book exists, to create that father-son dynamic. And with that dynamic in play, the way that they wrap it up is really special.
Yeah. If you haven't been reading this run, now especially is the time. Just go pick up the first few trades, or pick up the first trade, see if you like it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like Damian as a character, I'd say go for it because of how Bruce handles him and the emotional aspect that Bruce lets out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we don't really ever get to mention it, but the art by, where is his name? Gleason. They always, they do it in the back of the book.
In the back, yeah.
Where is it?
It is. It's beautiful stuff. Great colors too.
Patrick Gleason. There we go. I'm sorry. Is really, really good.
Okay, I think the last 5 books we're gonna kind of
do rapid fire.
Yeah, it's gonna be fast paced. Just to, it's books we don't want to spoil, but we're gonna mention. So we have Walking Dead issue 139, start of a new storyline, and a character that hasn't been in the book for about 8 issues returns. Cool stuff. Boats, water.
Yeah, if you had fallen off The Walking Dead during like the all-out war thing, and I was actually close to doing it as well at that point, just because I was so tired of the conflict. Something happened right after that that it was really special for the story. I mean, the world that Kirkman's crafted is fantastic. The characters, like, there's a lot of just standing around and talking in this issue, and I couldn't ask for anything more. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it all takes place like just sitting on the dock talking.
There's a boat.
Yeah. A boat comes in.
That's Rob gave me from Matt Kint. And I'm just going to read the synopsis, and you can decide if you think it's cool.
It's our second Someone on the Crapper book.
Oh yeah, that happens in here too. When an unknown error sends them much further into the past than anticipated, five deep time explorers crash land in the Hawaiian rainforest of the primitive 21st century. Their ship destroyed and their chronobeacon shattered, the team finds themselves hopelessly lost 1.2 million years in the past with no way home. And this book takes place 1 year later. So that's happened. 1 year passes, and these time travelers are stuck in our time, and they think of us as this primitive, stupid society. Some things happen, some things I do not understand. These people cannot die, and they're trying to figure out a way to get themselves back to the future. Why they can't die, I have no idea. They don't reference it. It's something that we're going to have to find out, but it's an interesting concept, and I really liked the first issue.
Excellent. Batman 66, number 21. I bring this up because I love Lord Deathman. If you've read any of the Batman manga, like a crazy campy character, obviously a campy series. I highly suggest. This is kind of like a one-off thing. You could just pick this up, not having read any of the others. He's a hilarious character, and you get some good Batgirl stuff. You haven't been reading Batman Eternal, right?
I haven't. I fell off it rather soon, and I know what happens. I know who the big bad is.
Okay, so you have issue 51. 50 kind of threw you a curveball saying who the big bad was, and it really isn't.
Oh, it's not? Oh, then I don't know.
Yeah, so this really reveals who is kind of pushing the buttons. Awesome stuff. Pick it up. If not, then wait for the collected editions, because
that's what I'm doing.
Okay, good. And then Future's End 47. I had mentioned 46 last week. If you are a big Batman Beyond fan, I highly suggest you pick this issue up because it sets up all new Batman Beyond stuff, the new ongoing that's going to be coming up. It's a big deal because it's a well-known character that takes over the mantle. So
interesting. Okay. Yeah. That's going to do it for us this week. We went through a lot of books.
Yes.
But it was a big week,
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the good books came out. Next week is supposed to be like terrible. Like there isn't next week like a big week.
Yeah, it's another big week.
Fantastic. Well, you can tune in next week to catch us talking about all that stuff. We got a lot of excellent feedback again, like even with the audio issues last week, but we want to know like what you guys are thinking about the show. If you have any suggestions that, you want us to read, or, we'd like to feedback on how you think that the show's going. You can reach us at Backup Stories on Twitter. You can leave a comment on the YouTube page. My personal Twitter is at Joroak, Joroak, Rob.
And I'm at Dusk1020.
You can find us each week as co-hosts on the Talking Games podcast. You can follow us over there at Talking_Games. We're part of Talking Comics, TalkingComics.com. You could follow them over at Talking Comics. That's going to do it for us this week. Have a good one.